Hey, how's it going, YouTube? I'm back with another video, and today I'm going to be talking about how the Oklahoma City Thunder could have possibly just completely robbed both the Rockets and the Los Angeles Clippers. Now, as you know, they made two blockbuster trades where they traded Westbrook to the Rockets and Paul George to the Clippers, forming two huge super teams. But in the trades, they got a shit ton of picks. I'm going to be going in both those trades in depth, and then I'm going to be going over their overall haul that they did end up getting from both trades, and I'm going to be saying how they potentially might have just robbed both of them and pretty much screwed over the Rockets and Clippers for the distant future, and how the Rockets and Clippers could be in big trouble due to these two trades in the future. So yeah, I'll be getting to all that in this video, and without further ado, without running on too much, let's get right into this video. And one more thing before this video does start, I would like to be able to say that these trades does not mean that the Clippers lost or the Rockets lost, as both teams in these trades, the Clippers and the Rockets, were looking for short-term success and competing for championships right now, and that's obviously what they did end up getting out of these trades. So obviously they're not looking for long-term success in these trades. They're just looking at the short run, and they want to win now, and they did win in the trade when it comes down to short-term success, but this is mainly going to be looking at what's going to happen long-term and how they could be in big trouble further down the line. Alright, so my first trade that I'm getting to is going to be the Paul George trade. Now, in the Paul George trade, obviously they had to trade Paul George away, but for Paul George, they were able to get unprotected first-round picks in the 2022, 2024, and the 2026 draft, plus they got Miami's first-round pick in the 2021 draft, and a 2023 lottery-protected pick that they got from a Jimmy Butler trade as they were a third team, plus they got swap rights in the 23 and 25 draft class. So they were able to get tons and tons of picks through this draft, but also they were able to get Danilo Gallinari and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and all they did end up losing out on was Paul George. So now with this trade, what they pretty much got overall, they now control the Los Angeles Clippers picks for the next 5 years, and plus having Miami's pick as well. In total, that equals out to 7 first-rounders from this one trade alone, and all they had to do was get rid of Paul George, and on top of that, they got an all-star level player in Danilo Gallinari, who's a very good player, can score the ball, and just an all-around very good and talented player, plus a very young guy with tons and tons of potential who I'm very high on, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He has a potential star potential as well, so I mean that is a huge pickup on both of their ends. So I think both of these players have potential to become all-stars one day, and that they most likely will become all-stars, and that the Thunder just got 7 first-rounders who, yes, the first few picks from the Clippers might not be that great, but, I mean, next 5 years, there's a huge chance that Paul George or Kawhi leaves the Clippers in the next 5 years. So, I mean, by trade, by getting injured, they might just be bad. They might get in injury trouble. They might want to get traded. They might want to leave in free agency. There's so many things that could go wrong for the Clippers with this trade that almost no matter what, at least a few of these picks will end up being very good picks for the Oklahoma City Thunder. So they got 2 good young assets plus 7 first-round picks for Paul George, who, yes, was an MVP candidate last year, but outside of that year, that was his best year by far, and he really is just an all-star level player any normal year. So I think for sure that the Thunder, they might not have won the trade, but I definitely do think that in the long run they won it, but in the short term, obviously not, but in the long term, I for sure think that they did win the trade, and that, the Clippers might be regretting this a little bit farther down the line. But now for the Russell Westbrook trade, and pretty much what happened there, well, what they got in it, they got Chris Paul plus Houston's 24 and 2026 first-rounders plus pick swaps for their 2021 and 2025 picks. So, I mean, they were able to get 4 more first-rounders through this, plus getting a star-level point guard in Chris Paul, who they already have rumors about them possibly trading away, which means that most likely they will be getting more picks for Chris Paul, or more young aspects for Chris Paul, which will now mean they will get even more first-rounders, even more young picks that they already have, and that this future of this team is just looking better and better every single trade that they make. And I think this trade, same as Paul George, they lost short-term, and they're going to win big time in the long-term aspect of this trade, and all they had to lose out on was Russell Westbrook, who wanted out after losing his second superstar level player in Paul George. He finally wanted out of OKC, and that's what they did, and they got a very good return for him. So now let's go over the overall haul they did get from both of these trades. So in these 2 trades, they got 11 first-round picks, which means that they will now have, I mean, for the next pretty much long-term, for the 5 or 6 years for these picks are going to last, some of these are going to end up being absolutely great picks and most likely will become lottery picks. Probably the ones way further down the line, but they will definitely enjoy having these, as if you look at the years that they have them, they will now have 2 first-rounders in the 2021 draft, 2 in the 2022 draft, 3 in the 2023 draft, 3 in the 2024, and 2 in the 2025, and 2 in the 2026. And also, not only did they get all of these great young picks, all these great pick swaps, all these great future probably lottery picks, but they also got 3 great young prospects on their team. Danilo Gallinari, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and Chris Paul. So they lost one superstar level point guard and got a star level point guard, Chris Paul, who yes is getting older, but is still an all-star level player. So Chris Paul, Westbrook, yes there's a gap between there, but the gap is not that big. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander might run shooting guard, I don't know. Most likely probably won't, but in the case that they do run him as shooting guard, he could be a very, very good, solid player alongside of Chris Paul, but I think they kind of contradict each other, so Gilgeous-Alexander might be coming off the bench, I don't know. Gallinari could probably play power forward or center, whatever. Most likely will be playing power forward with Steven Adams there, and Gallinari, assuming they don't trade him as well for more picks, well, Gallinari at only age 27 could be a very, very good prospect to player up, and now when you look at the team, they have a potential starting lineup of Chris Paul, Steven Adams, Danilo Gallinari, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and Andre Roberson. That team is extremely, extremely good and could still very much be a playoff contender next year with that starting lineup. People are acting like the Thunder got completely screwed over in this deal. Not really, because they still have Dennis Schroeder, Nerlens Noel, Terrence Ferguson, Jeremy Grant, Steven Adams. Very, very good, solid players to go along with Chris Paul, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Danilo Gallinari that they already have, plus all the young projects that are going to be able to get through the drafts in the next future years. I think this trade was both of these trades were a huge, huge success for the Oklahoma City Thunder and is a great, great sign for what is to come in the future OKC, and they could potentially be a future dynasty, because with all these young guys, once they develop and once they get all their young guys, probably a few lottery picks in there, plus their own picks that they have, there's going to be a lot of young talent on this roster for a few years to come. If they can keep the few veterans that they do have, this team could be extremely, extremely good the next 3 to 4 years, and while yes, they're not going to probably be that good next year, but by saying that, they could still make the playoffs. So they're not going to be the OKC we're used to, but they could still definitely be a solid team. They have all these picks to completely rebuild around. They're not even going to really have to rebuild because they no longer have to tank for good picks because they just have so many. They're just bound to hit a home run off of one of these. It's just odds. They're going to eventually get a good draft pick, at least one probably star or superstar level player through one of these draft picks. That's just how odds go. So, there's a huge chance that this could be a future dynasty in the making, or the very beginning of a dynasty in the making right now. And I think OKC is set up for the future I just don't see how OKC cannot be a good team in the future and be one of the best teams in the future. But unfortunately, guys, that's this video. So comment below. Do you agree with me? Do you think the Thunder ended up winning both these trades? Do you think they lost? What do you feel? How do you think the Rockets are going to do? How do you think the Clippers are going to do? On here, our thoughts in the comment section below. And if you did like the video, hit at any point the like button, subscribe button, and mean the word to me. And I hope you have a blessed day. Because I had a blessed day, so you need to have a blessed day. See you in the next video. Goodbye. Boo. Blah, blah, blah.